What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well. I'm actually not doing well because I'm looking in the background here and I don't know what my buggy's doing. I understand the concept of rendering and sometimes it takes a while, but this thing is, I don't know, it's moving. It's doing, I don't know. My base is haunted. That's just what I need. Yeah. Anyway, let's get on. Uh, in a recent video I made, I saw a lot of comments where people were talking about the fact that they were still in the duraluminum phase and hadn't gone to plastanium yet. Basically tier 5 to tier 6. And I did a little research, and there really hasn't been any updated content explaining to newer players or people in that situation exactly the best way or the route to go. So I decided to put a video together to hopefully help guide you along if this applies to you. So we're going to look at the research here, and before I go to any of these other headings, we're going to stop and look in the construction tab. Now, there are a ton of different machines in here, all of which you're going to make use of, and they all do serve a purpose. But some of them are going to be a little more important, especially in the early stages of the Plastanium tier, than others. Advanced weapons fabricators, for the tier 6 gear, survival for different resources, the vehicle fabricator in order to make tier 6, ornithopters, carriers, sand crawlers, everything. Of course, the large ore refinery is extremely popular, medium chemical factory as well. But to be honest with you, I kind of differ on which one is the most important. In my opinion, the first thing you should go for is a medium spice refinery. You've probably been existing off of the regular spice refinery, which, it's been getting the job done because you don't really need a whole lot to begin with. But once you move into the tier 6 category, everything you do is going to require spice melange and a lot of it. So getting this medium up and running as quickly as possible in the long run is going to cut down on your wait times and your production times. And when you go to build something, you'll have that resource already there. The medium spice refinery uses 750 spice sand in order to make 10 melange. And a lot of this equipment needs like 100, 200, sometimes 400. So being able to make those larger batches is going to really help you out, and this will take care of half of the formula for anything you need for tier 6. Let's talk about that second half, which is going to be plastanium ingots. You most likely have a Mark 5 cutter array, which will get the job done. As you can see there, the titanium strontium indicator, you get 36 for each one that you mine, every node. There is a unique permit called the Taro cut array, which is still a duraluminum product. So if you're in duraluminum, you'll be able to make it. And it can pull out 48 every time you mine a node of strontium or titanium. This compares really well to a Mark 6 cut array, which is the, of course, plastanium version. As you can see there, they're both pulling 48. There is some variance on the other items, but if you can and you have a Taro cut array, this will serve you a lot better. If you only have the Mark 5, it'll do for now until you can get one. If you need the permit or the schematic for it, you can find it at the bottom of Shoal, here in the wreck of the Tartarus. This is just outside of the radiation zone, so you don't need to have a rad suit for this, you just have to skirt around it. Fair warning, this is a PvP section, so if you're not up for fighting other players, make sure you scout around, make sure no one's hanging around. And as far as enemies, they're a little tough, but you can handle them. And inside of that Tartarus, there is a constellation chest, one of the ones that has all the little stars above it, that has the possibility of dropping a Taro cutter array schematic that you can then make. If you do this and you don't get it, you can wait the hour or so before it to reset, or if you're familiar with siege hopping, you can just head south and jump off and go into the world map, and then once you're there, you can log out, log back in, and go to a different siege than the one you were just on, and that chest will be there and able to be looted again. So you can continue to do that until you get the schematic that you're looking for. And finally, the last piece of this puzzle is some kind of air power. You're going to need a scout or an assault ornithopter in order to go out to the deep desert. This is where you find strontium and titanium. Honestly, it's, whatever preference you have. If you have both of these to take, you just want to make sure that you're equipped with the storage boxes on these units. And also keep in mind, I have a Mark 6 ornithopter here, but if we inspect it, you'll notice I'm using the Mark 5 storage. They don't make a Mark 6 as far as I know, but you can put thrusters, storage, cutter arrays, extra things on a vehicle that's lower tiered than what the base of that vehicle is. So once you've got some type of cutter array and you've got yourself an ornithopter, it's time to head out to the deep desert. If you're familiar with the deep desert, awesome, you're already ahead of the game. If you're not, there's 3 different entry points. Really doesn't matter. Just take the center one here in this example. You don't have to be concerned about something bad happening to you here. We're actually not going to go out into the sands, so we're never going to get close to a PvP zone. There are crashed ships that are PvP that you have to be aware of, but just make sure you don't go near them. They're real easy to see. And otherwise, we're staying on the shield wall, so we're up in the rocks, no threat of worms, no problems whatsoever. But once you get out here on these rock walls in what's considered the row A, you're looking for nodes like this. This is a strontium node that I came across. They're going to be scattered throughout the rocks and the pathways up here. And you're just going to hop out and head over. Make sure you pick up the ones that are loose on the ground. I mean, that's like 2 or 3 each time that's just sitting there free. Then you're going to pull out your cutter array. Now, I'm using my Mark 6, so this would be very similar to what I would be getting from the Taro cutter array. And then you just scan it and mine like normal. You see I get to 49, so awesome. Head back to your thopter and bring up your inventory and just slide it on over. From this point on, you can just walk up and hit F to do that quick transfer, and it'll take anything that you have in your inventory that matches what's on the thopter. It'll just transfer it over. If you do a scan and you get something like that where you can't necessarily hit, well, that's weird. I don't know why it's just sparkly. If you can't get it all because of the terrain or something like that, you can just move around that node and scan it in different spots until you get one that's decent enough to where you can go ahead and use the cutter array to mine it. And still got the 49. In addition to strontium, in order to make the plastanium ingots, you're also going to need to find some titanium. It's a very pointy silver little rock, looks like a iceberg, just like this right here. And it's the same process. You get one that you don't quite like, just go ahead, move around the corner. You'll be able to scan it in another spot, get one that works well. Birds. Just when you get over to your thopter, just make sure that you put that first stack in. That way, all you got to do is hit F, and it'll transfer everything over. And hop back in, move on to the next one. You're going to rinse and repeat this until one of 3 things happens. Don't go out into the sand, because that's where it's dangerous. And, yeah, make sure you don't do that. But one of 3 things is going to happen. Either first, you're going to completely fill up your inventory with titanium, strontium. Try to get an equal amount of both, and that'll be awesome. Make that line on the side go all the way up to the top. You run out of fuel, or you get bored with doing it. And once you come back, you're going to use that plastanium to get this medium spice refinery and get that thing going. So that's going to be your first goal. Once you've got the medium spice refinery built and you're cranking out as much melange as you can, the next thing you want to focus on is building this large ore refinery. It takes a lot. This is 400 melange, almost 400 plastanium ingots. So you're going to be taking some time to get this done. But once you do, it's really going to pay off dividends. The difference between the large and the medium is the large is going to be able to make it faster, and it takes less raw materials. I believe the medium needs 6 titanium units, and you only need 4 with the large. But anything you make is going to require not only a bunch of melange, but it's also going to require a ton of plastanium ingots. So having this machine, which is making it much more efficient, is going to be key to when you decide, you know what, I'm going to start making some vehicles, I'm going to make armor, I'm going to make weapons. You're basically going to be able to handle the requirements that all of these pieces of equipment need. Um, and it is quite a grind, more so than anything else, going from like steel to aluminum and etc. Um, but it is definitely worth it. The gear you're going to get is going to be better. It's going to be stronger. Vehicles are faster. Armor can defend against more damage. Weapons can do more damage. And for this new content that they've released, you're really going to need some tier 6 equipment in order to be able to handle it and survive. But that's my advice, to make sure that you can get all the spice melange you need, get that medium running. Don't worry about the large until everything else is taken care of as far as spice goes. And then the second thing you want to build is going to be the large ore refinery. After that, it's whatever you want to make. You want to go straight to vehicles, go for it. You want to make armor, weapons, whatever. As you can see here, I'm looking at the Mark 6 hull for a Scout Ornithopter. It's 55 spice melange, 85 just for the hull. Each piece of equipment is going to require a bunch of spice and a bunch of plastanium. So being able to make as much as you can from the resources that you gather is going to be key. But this is my advice. And like I said, once you get past those two pieces of equipment, sky's the limit. Eventually, you can get yourself to the point where instead of doing the back and forth routes by air, you can get a Mark 6 buggy cutter ray, which can do that's pulling 90 titanium and strontium. And the ones that are on the ground out in the deep desert, there are routes to get a buggy through. So you can build a very small base. Doesn't have to be anything super fancy, just enough to get some machinery in there to process this stuff. And you can break a buggy apart, put it in your pocket, fly out there, reassemble it, and you'll be able to run around and fill that buggy up a bunch of times. By the time it gets done processing, those nodes should have respawned, so you'll be ready to go back out and do it again. But that's where I'm going to end this, guys. Just wanted to do a video. It's very common that as we progress in a game, we kind of forget where we came from. And I was really surprised when, I was looking up, how do you get from duraluminum to plastanium? Because it's been so long since I'd done it. And I just wasn't seeing any guides or any information. So thought I would put this out there. Hopefully this helps you out if you need it. And thank you very much for watching. We stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, so join us if you'd like to. And a like and a subscribe would definitely be appreciated. Thank you so much. And as always, I will see you out there. Take care.